Composing a survey of the grid is an exceptionally hard thing for me to do in light of the fact that this film is a seriously big deal to me, and hence I believe should do the film equity by composing a decent audit. To come clean, whenever I first saw the film I was enchanted by the impacts. I pondered internally that this was perhaps of the most outwardly shocking film I had at any point found in my life. Likewise, having forever been a comic book fan and a devotee of movies that were awesome, the momentary component of the story was extremely interesting to me. And this presumably elevated my satisfaction in the film without a doubt. It was only after some time later, and in the wake of having seen the film a couple of times more, that I began to contemplate the film. I perceived the Christian components rapidly. However, it was only after I composed a genuine 15-page article on the film that I took advantage of a portion of the philosophical and strict components, and that caused me to see the value in the film much more. I won't say that I have perceived all components in light of the fact that the film is plainly loaded with them. Acting-wise, the film works amazingly. I won't express that there aren't any issues, since there are nevertheless. By and large, the acting is really perfect. Keanu Reeves plays the primary person, Neo, or Thomas A. Anderson, and keeping in mind that he isn't the ideal entertainer, I figure he does a very great job in The Network and the spin-offs. He doesn't have the longest of lines, which was likely a purposeful decision from the Chiefs, and it works since this offers him a superior chance to chip away at stance and looks, and I should say that general his non-verbal communication is excellent. Exceptionally clear and distinct. Lawrence Fishburne plays Neo's coach Morpheus, and he works really hard of it. His lines stream with a specific certainty and style that makes his personality to some degree remarkable and intriguing. Carrie Ann Greenery works really hard too, and prevails with regards to looking both cool and provocative in her calfskin outfit. Joe Pantoliano, a fundamentally misjudged entertainer, makes a splendid showing of bringing his personality code to life. I can't express a lot about him, since his personality is vital for the plot, and I surely don't want to pamper it for anybody. Gloria Encourage shows up in a somewhat little job that will have more noteworthy importance in the accompanying movies, and she does a generally excellent work. The best acting is given by Hugo Winding Around, be that as it may. In his depiction of Specialist Smith, it is truly something special to watch him showcase the progressions in his personality. Specialist Smith acquires a few human qualities like displeasure, feeling of fear, disdain, and at last even a tricky funny bone, for the most part in the spin-offs. Two thumbs far up to Winding Around, who has made one of the best screen anti-heroes ever. Impacts-wise, the film is absolutely shocking, and it deservedly was granted the Oscar for Best Impacts, and was deplorably bamboozled out of a selection in the Best Film class, in front of even Star Wars. The explanation that I think The Network merits the Oscar for Best Impacts is just that the impacts in the framework are more creative than the ones in Star Wars. Simply investigate how frequently the impacts have been satirized and you'll likely concur. The impacts likewise help in the imagery of the film and in making an exceptionally tragic environment much the same as the one found in Edge Sprinter, and this works splendidly. The film looks delightful consistently, and today, 6 years after the fact, my God, has it previously been 6 years, the impacts actually hold their ground against new sci-fi films. Add the impacts to the splendid altering and you have a visual magnum opus on your hands. Done. The explanation that I think The Network is more reviewable than basically some other film is the story and the philosophical and strict components of the story on the grounds that with each survey I find something I didn't see the past time I watched it. Without ruining the film, I want to specify a couple of the more clear components. Clearly the film draws on the Savior legend, as Neo is a reasonable reference to Jesus with the relationship of his name, Neo equals one, as in the one, yet additionally concealed in his other name, Thomas A. Anderson. The initial segment of his last name, Anderson, comes from the Greek andros signifying man, and join this with the second piece of his last name, child, and add a little inventiveness, you will think of the blend, Child of Man, which was a title Jesus concocted about himself. Likewise, whenever we first meet Neo, a man calls him, and I quote, "You're my hero, man. My very own Jesus Christ." It gets no more clear than that. Beside the Christianich components, the film likewise gets its motivation from Buddhism. Gnosticism, gnosis equals information, but on the other hand is propelled by Plato and his relationship of the cavern and Jean Baudrillard's article, Simulacra and Recreations. Making sense of these components would make this audit continue perpetually, so beside referencing them I won't remark on them further. To every one individuals who question the significant idea of the network, I can offer one guidance: free your psyche and watch the film once more. You will love it. Assuming that I needed to pick a most loved all-time film, my decision would presumably fall on either The Grid. Clearly I don't anticipate that individuals should concur yet in the event. That they do, that is perfect, or The Master of the Rings. The Arrival of the Lord, and I prescribe it to all devotees of science fiction and individuals who like way of thinking.